Hey everybody, it's Leanne here. Again, I'm at school. I'm going to be at school like every Tuesday for the next little bit. So I get to do my show from the school in my office as the kids have their lunch. So anyway, this week, it's a really light topic. The last little bit I've been talking about money, but I don't know, there's just something about this narcissism and gaslighting and something about it, just because I have experienced it myself, and man alive, if I could just prevent one person, or at least share some information about what to look for, some signs and symptoms, so that you are aware of what it is, and hopefully then you can avoid it, or, you know, look at maybe the relationships that you're in, or, you know, just be aware of some of the signs and symptoms of, you know, just what a narcissist is, or, you know, gaslighting and that kind of thing, manipulation, and all the interesting things that people can use against you. So basically, what I think about, you know, the relationship that, or some of the relationships that I've had early on, very charismatic, very charming, and just, you know, gathered information about you, was very curious about you, asked lots of questions, and then eventually used that information against you. And that was what happened to me. And so, if anything, you know, just very charming, very charismatic. But if you don't do what they want, they will definitely take advantage of you or take advantage of others. So you can see that kind of showing up in those kinds of relationships. They'll look at people and, you know, if they've got something that they want, they see them as a threat. And, you know, they'll be, you know, very self-absorbed, you know, very grandiose, and really talk a lot about, you know, how good they are, or things like that. There's a lot of grandiosity with somebody who's a narcissist. There's a lack of empathy too. So just, you know, like if anybody, you know, comes to mind or whatever, like, it's just like, oh, hey, I'm finally noticing that there's some people in. Hey, Christine. Hey, Lisa. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, they're always talking about themselves, and they really just want the best of everything. I just remember, you know, one relationship that I was in, you know, wanted a new TV, and just, I had no money and he had no credit. So he just was on me and on me and on me and on me until I finally agreed to go, and we signed up and did this, you know, whatever, how, you know, stores will give you the things, and then you pay monthly, and there's only 5,000% interest on it. And so eventually, just to appease him, I finally just said yes. And it was just like, you know, when you're in it, you're so in it, and you don't even realize sometimes how they're taking advantage of you. Lot of praise. They really are looking for constant praise. And they seem to think that they're very entitled, and that's just not like, you know, your average entitlement. But I mean, they don't like following rules. Rules don't apply to them. You know, and they get really upset. Like, why should I have to do that? You know, and if they get caught, holy man, it's like they'll avoid, you know, court. They'll avoid the fines. They'll, you know, none of that stuff really ever applies to them. And they really do believe that they have and should be treated very specially. Like, they should have special treatment, and that, you know, the rules don't necessarily apply to them. And, you know, so that's maybe the extreme, like the narcissists. You know, gaslighting is maybe a little bit more subtle. It's still manipulation, man, like serious manipulation. It's like psychological warfare. And they just continue to plant seeds of doubt or uncertainty that you really start to question your own reality. Like, it was very subtle to start with. I remember things like, well, you don't really, what did he say? He would say things like, well, you don't have a very good memory. Or, well, you're always making mistakes like that. Or, like just really subtle undercurrents of starting to make, like if you made a mistake of somehow, they would really point it out and really subtly then refer back to it all the time. And I remember thinking, like, am I going crazy? Like, I don't remember doing that. Or, he would say things like that. Well, you don't even remember doing that. And, so he would use it against me constantly. I remember there was, and very subtly things like there was one guy I was in a relationship with for a very short period of time, because I really saw the signs and I was like, oh, great. Here's another one. Alcoholic, drug addict, narcissist, gaslighter. Awesome. I seem to have tracked those. And he would suggest that the razor that I used, well, that's not the best razor. Here, you should use this one. Like, just, he would tell me how to be, what to wear, how to choose. And so it's just, it's interesting, and how I allowed some of that stuff, those little things. It was like, oh, okay, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But when he was able to kind of get away with those little things, then it was like bigger things, and then bigger things, and then bigger things. And so it just, they really use it to gain power over you. And yeah, they just really, it's a very, very persistent manipulation. And so I don't know if this can help, like if you know anybody that's kind of going through this, or who is in a situation like this, like, it's so subtle to start with. And, like I had so many people warning me and trying to get me out, and he isolated me. He didn't want me to have friends. He didn't, he just, everything was about the two of us. And, he really just monopolized my time and didn't want me spending any time with, anyone. And so I was so isolated and didn't have, those connections, or very few connections with people. And that's exactly what he wanted. And so it's just very interesting how it all played out. But what I have come to realize, and I got some separation from it, and actually, spent some time with somebody in a counseling way, actually at the women's shelter, and in black and white, like asked me these questions and do. And I don't think there was one thing that I couldn't check yes to. And so it was just like on black and white, I could see it, and I'm like, holy crap. Like, wow, this is actually happening. And when you're in it, I don't know if you really understand the extent of the abuse that's happening. And so, really, like going home after those sessions, I would, talk to this person, and then it's textbook exactly, the counselor would say, well, they'll threaten suicide, they'll do this, they'll do this, they'll do this. It was textbook. Like he did exactly what she said he would. And having that information was so crucial for me to start to see like how insane this was. And so, yeah, anyway, get out, get a new perspective on it. And then, went back, he did all the things that I asked him to do. And then I went back, and it wasn't 2 weeks later, I was like, oh man, this is, I'm going to the fourth floor psych ward. Seriously, it's either you or me that's going down. And I just chose me. It's like, this is not happening, and stop that cycle. And what I've come to realize, though, is really people that are narcissists or abusive, people that are gaslighting and those kinds of things, they're targeting people that are strong. They're not really targeting the weak. That's easy. That's an easy game for them. They do that all the time. What they're really looking for is somebody that is super strong, and somebody that they can really play the game with. And so I kind of realized that after the fact that I was, a target of this, and that I see the red flags. I see it now. I didn't at the time, which is fine. but I chose to stay away from it and avoid those kinds of relationships because they're not a contribution to me. And anyway, I hope some of that information, of like, if you find yourself in a situation that some of these red flags are kind of ticking the boxes. There are so many things that I could go on and on about. And yeah, I remember, he'd make a scene in public. And so I didn't want a scene, so I would just give in. Like there was just really subtle things that he would do to get what he wanted when he wanted. And so, yeah, if you find yourself in a situation like that, or if you know somebody who is in a situation like that, maybe pass this video along. I don't know, reach out. I love, talking to people like this. And, if I could help just one person, just, avoid some of this pain that is associated with these relationships, that would be amazing. And I have some things that I'm working on, a 6-week course, a program, and, what I would like to kind of walk people through to help them if they find themselves in these situations. And so that's in creation, and it's been in creation for a while, and it's just starting to take shape. And my voice in and around this topic, I'm starting to be a little bit more open to sharing, and willing to be vulnerable around what I went through if I can help somebody else. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that with you today, and yeah, I hope that helps. And if you have questions or anything, just reach out. I'd love to share those experiences that that maybe you're going through, I've walked through as well. And so it can be a contribution just to talk to somebody that's been there and done that and is a little bit ahead of the game, and on the other side of it. And it's just, yeah, it doesn't have to be a long drawn out process either. Like I've had huge change with getting my bars run, and it doesn't have to be this slow drawn out process. Like I think that I went through the counseling and all that kind of stuff, and it just seemed like it took forever for me to see any kind of really significant change. And getting my bars run was huge. And yeah, I have a class this Sunday if anybody's interested, and Christine and I are gonna co-facilitate a class on Sunday. If you're interested in learning about the bars and the body process that is the bars, you're welcome. Just reach out. And yeah, anyway, I will talk to you soon. I will see you next week. Who knows what next week will bring and the next topic, but if we dive more into this or not. But anyway, if there's anything that you are curious about me sharing, drop it in the comments too. I'd love to hear your feedback. And if there's anything you'd like me to kind of extrapolate on, then make me aware of that. So anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day, everybody. Bye for now.